In case you missed it, here's a Sports Animal Rewind. Our Eye on the SEC is brought to you by Miller Eye Care and Optical, 694-2622.
We continue to go around the Southeastern Conference with team previews of every single team in the SEC. You can go back and get these interviews on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/KNS Sports page, to hear all of them from around the conference. Friend of the show, does an unbelievable job covering the Florida Gators, has for a long time. He hosts a show on WRUF in Gainesville, noon to 2 show. Our friend Steve Russell joining us for a preview of the Florida Gators. Steve, Vince, and Mike Strange from Nashville. How you doing this morning, Steve?
Guys, I'm doing great, and what a great time of the year. We have Gator Nationals here, basketball, the SEC tournament, spring football. Life is really good.
and baseball, you calling some baseball games time permitting?
Absolutely.
This year
Got
also?
the weekend series against Kentucky as we open up SEC play, and Florida's, as you guys know, struggling a little bit, so we'll see how they do against a good Kentucky team.
All right, well, we could talk about all those different things, but I want to focus here on this visit with you, Steve, on spring football. A lot of excitement with the 2013 signing class. Are there any early enrollees, Steve, that you have your eye on that are the most intriguing for you of that group?
There's 3 of them for me. Kelvin Taylor, the son of Fred Taylor, at running back. I think he's got a chance to get immediate playing time. The other one is wide receiver Demarcus Robinson from Georgia. Florida is in desperate need of playmakers at wide receiver. He's got a chance. And then I should say 4. 2 defensive linemen, Darius Cummings, a junior college transfer, and freshman Joey Ivey. They may be, guys, asked to step in right away and provide depth at defensive tackle because the Gators are really thin as far as experience is concerned at that position. So those are the guys I think that could have an impact as early enrollees and play right away.
Mike?
You mentioned the Gators desperately need help at a playmaker at wide receiver, and I'm just wondering is your best cornerback, Purifoy, not also maybe would be your best receiver?
Could be. And he's going to be over there for the first 7-8 days of practice, and it wouldn't shock me if Purifoy is a starting wide receiver. Florida has some depth at corner. They've got some guys that can plug in there, although Purifoy is very, very good. He's a great special teams player. But that's how desperate Florida is, fellas. They've got to get some playmakers because I don't care if you have Peyton Manning throwing the ball. If you don't have anybody that can catch it or get open and be a deep threat, then it's not going to be much. And, Andre DeBoe's been in the program for a long time. Senior now, hasn't done a whole lot. So, yeah, they're looking for anybody to give us some help at receiver.
Talking about the Florida Gators in spring practice, began spring practice yesterday. Here on the New Sentinel Sports page, I'm Vince Ferrara along with Mike Strange. Talk about that offensive line, Steve, and they have certainly some holes to fill there. Talk about that group.
Here's the good news. They've got some people back. Jonathan Harrison will be a redshirt senior at center. Jalapio at guards, a redshirt senior. Now, Chaz Green isn't participating in spring because of an injury, but he's at tackle. He's a redshirt junior. They've got to replace Xavier Nixon and James Wilson, but guys who are held over, Kyle Coney can step in. He'll be a senior. Ian Silverman will be a junior. Jesmond Dunker is suspended, so we don't know, what his deal is going to be. But if you look at the incoming guys, Trenton Brown is a guy who's a junior college transfer, but the guys they're really excited about are 2 guys who transferred in to the program as offensive linemen. Tyler Moore is one of them, and I think he's going to get a chance to play right away. So there's bodies on the offensive line, guys, but can they stay healthy? That's a big key for them.
Mike?
Steve, what happened with the coaching staff? What changes were there? Who's gone? Who's back? Is it very different from last year to spring practice?
Well, there's one difference, but it's big in that Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator, left for the Seattle Seahawks in the same position. And that wasn't a surprise. He came from the NFL, and I think it was always known here that if Dan got a chance to be a coordinator in the NFL, he would do that. Now, DJ Durkin takes over for him, and that's going to be kind of seamless. I mean, look, this is really Muschamp's defense, and Durkin will run what Muschamp runs. The difference is going to be Durkin was a special teams coordinator as well as coach linebackers. The special teams now will be sort of a cooperative effort among the coaches and not just with Durkin. But that's the only real major change.
Steve Russell from WRUF in Gainesville helping us out with our Florida Gators spring practice preview. Defense, certainly a lot of players, impact players, Steve, moving on to the NFL. Talk about some of those position battles for those open spots.
Well, it starts right where I talked about, guys, at defensive tackle. The thought is that Dominique Easley, who's going to be a senior, is going to start out at least playing defensive end. But they lost Earl Okine. They lost Omar Hunter. They lost Sharif Floyd, who's flying up the depth chart. So right away at nose and at defensive tackle, you've got guys like Damian Jacobs, Leon Orr, as I mentioned, the freshmen who have to come in and play. Linebacker is going to be interesting, too, because you lose Jelani Jenkins and Jonathan Bostic, but they love two young kids. Michael Taylor's a redshirt junior. Antonio Morrison will be a sophomore. They're going to have to fill in there. And then they have Darren Kitchens and Nayron Ball back, both at linebacker. But it's not a real experienced group. And then secondary, safety is the position. When you lose Matt Elam, you lose Josh Evans. Who steps in? It looks like they're going to move Cody Riggs from corner to safety. And then Jabari Gorman, who backed up Josh Evans, will be the free safety. So there's some names that Gator fans know, but not a ton of experience.
Can Jeff Driscoll take that next step? Do you see that in him?
I hesitantly say yes. But here's the thing. He's got to have some help. Florida ran the ball well enough last year with Gillislee, and Jordan Reed was a good tight end, but they just didn't have anybody at receiver that scares you. They haven't really had it for the last 2 or 3 years. So if they can get some playmakers there, that's going to help Driscoll, but he also needs guys to start learning to get rid of the ball more quickly, read defenses more quickly. He's going to be a junior, so it's his time.
Steve Russell, you can find him on Twitter at Steve Russell 850, does a show on WRUF in Gainesville. You can find him at WRUF.com, the 12 to 2 show. Steve, always great to talk to you. Really appreciate your insights. We'll catch up with you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you too, Vince. Thank you.
All right, Steve Russell joining us, friend of the show. Phenomenal job covering the Florida Gators.